All right, so the Chargers, interestingly, do not trade. I think a lot of people were wondering, do they trade for a team that wants J.J. McCarthy or even a team that wants, one of the great receivers that are still left on the board? They do not trade and don't draft a great receiver, despite the fact that their receiving room doesn't look great after losing Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. But they do get Joe Alt. And just to be clear, there is going to be a film study shortly after I'm going to give a general thoughts for like a minute, and then we'll get into the film. Talk about what I love about Joe Alt. I think he's a great player, and it's totally a pick I don't hate at all, to be honest. I know you need receivers, but to be honest, this receiving core needs more than just one receiver. And Jim Harbaugh is someone who he loves to draft, it doesn't value the wide receiver position as much, is what I'm trying to say. He is someone who prefers a great offensive line, and I mean, with him and Slater next to each other for potentially decades to come at this point, that's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of ways to help out Herbert. I do think the Chargers need to address receiver later on in the draft, and I am a little surprised they didn't think about a trade down, but again, there has to be a trade partner, right? And there has to be the value to make sense, because if it doesn't, in my opinion, Joe Alt is pretty clearly the best best offensive lineman in this draft class. I know there's other good ones. I think that he is the one guy that I do look at and say, I think he's a superstar potential, has a chance to be an all-pro, and, at the very least should be a really consistently good tackle, not just in the pass blocking game, which matters, but also in the run blocking game. So interested to see, exactly what happens here with Joe Alt and what he can do. But yeah, let's just get into the film. Let's talk about why I like him so much. Let's start off with this play. With Joe Alt, it's interesting, right? Because, and just offensive line tape in general is always a bit unique to talk about when I do a film study, because it really is hard to, in just a few plays, fully show what an offensive lineman can do. Because really what you care about most is consistency. Not necessarily can you win, because every offensive lineman can win if you're getting drafted, period. But can you win consistently? And for Joe Alt, the consistency is what really jumps off on film when jumps out on film when you watch him. Something like this, for example. Watch what he's going to do. Right off the bat, you see the Clemson edge rusher kind of going for more of an outside move right here. It almost looked like he wanted to go a little bit more towards the inside, but quickly realized that wasn't going to work. Alt is just someone where there's very few ways to beat him. You can try something like this, but you see how Alt gets his right hand on the left shoulder pad of the edge rusher, and Alt's hands are really what makes him special. And again, there's so much importance in that. I think sometimes we overvalue some of the wrong aspects when it comes to offensive linemen. We pay too much attention to how fast of a 40-yard dash do they run, as if that matters. But you see, he gets the hand placement he wants, because now what he can do is try and push the edge rusher behind his quarterback. That's exactly what he does. It wasn't even close there on that one. And this is just what he does, is the blocks that he can pull off just are so consistently good that's what you like about him. Again, something like this, where this is going to be, it's going to have a bit of a benefit, as it's going to be a quick play action, although sort of a half-hearted one. So it's not a massive benefit. But you see him on this play, going to be going up one-on-one yet again. And when this play begins, again, he's so good at getting the hand placement to where he wants it to be, where it's that left arm that he has, a left hand that he has kind of on that right pec area of the Clemson player, where at that point, what can you really do? Watch him extend his arms. The Clemson player has no choice but to try and push Alt backwards towards the quarterback, but that's not really going to work out very well. It worked a little bit, but you're not going to be able to pull that off fully, and Alt is able to hold on to that block as well. Again, the just consistency in getting the hands to where he wants to be, and he's a physical enough player that if he gets the hands where you want, you're not going to beat him. Like this one's another one where, yet again, one-on-one block right here against an edge rusher, and again, watch the hands here, because guy's 6'8", and while it's, his reach isn't quite as long as you'd expect from a typical 6'8" guy. Still, it's a long reach. It's, big body. It's difficult. Watch how when this play begins. Again, look at those, the way he gets his arms extended right there. So again, for an edge rusher, there's not a lot you can do. I mean, you can try to swat the arms away, but he so quickly gets them back. You're essentially just screwed at this point. And also watch how long Alt holds on to this block for. I mean, it's just such a long block on that, to where, the only reason there was maybe some way the edge rusher could get into the play is because the quarterback ran right next to the edge rusher. And even then, it still wasn't a sack or anything like that. So, really good stuff from Joe Alt to be able to pull this off. And, again, there's so much value in this. And going over here, he can win against, tons of different style of plays. Like this one, it's going to be a one-on-one block against an edge rusher. But, sometimes these edge rushers start saying, hey, not really overpowering this guy, not really beating him with a speed rush. Let me try some other things. Watch how number 7 for Clemson here, again, a smaller guy here is going to try and use his athleticism to his advantage, right? It makes sense. Kind of fakes as though he's going towards the offense's left, so towards the right side of the screen, but then move towards the left side of the screen. You see him take that step, but watch how Alt meets him so quickly, and guess what? He has the hand placement where he wants to, where it, you kind of see this on the the opposite, where you try to push the edge rusher away from the quarterback, kind of behind the quarterback. Well, here it's essentially just the opposite thing. You want to push him more towards the left side of the screen and push him in front of your quarterback. Alt has the strength to pull that off pretty easily, and the quarterback had a throw he wanted to make, but had he not, containment had been given up at that point. So it's, again, the hand placement that he has is just so consistent. He isn't someone who's going to get fooled by these kind of fake moves. He'll move very quickly. He has the good footwork to pull this off, and it's really hard to beat him. And while everything I showed was in pass protection, his run blocking is just as good. Like he's an A in every category. I think you could maybe argue there's some other guys who are A pluses in specific categories, but there is no one who is an A in every category the way Alt is. So his consistent winning, his great hands, his good athleticism, it's really hard to imagine him failing. I think his film is great, and that's why I'm definitely banking on Alt to succeed. I do have him as my number 1 offensive lineman in this draft class, and I think he'd be easily worth a value pick and a very valuable pick for me personally. But yeah, that's what I think about all of this. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from ya, and of course, as always, thanks for watching. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. I appreciate that. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button or just click on the channel itself. I will be covering every little detail about this draft, so, if there's anything you're interested in, I'm sure I have a video about it. Make sure you check that out. Also, if you like movies, make sure you check out my movie channel. The link is in the description for that. Have a lot of fun stuff on there, some movie reviews, some tier lists, stuff like that. And also, if you want to just hear more of my general thoughts, follow me on Twitter or X, whatever the hell you want to call it. Link is in the description for that as well. And once again, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it.